Next session. The first chairperson is Dr. Lalit Kumar Gupta sir, who is a senior professor in the R&T Medical College, Udaipur. He's also won the KC Kandahari Medal for Best PG in Dermatology and the President Medal at Dermacon 2020. He has contributed various chapters in the IA textbook. He was awarded the Best Research Paper on the Indian Guidelines on Management of SGS in 10. And he has been invited as a guest speaker in various national and international conferences, including Milan 2019. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Ashok Kumar Khare sir, who is an MD from the prestigious Institute of Medical Sciences, BHU, and also an SR in that institute and AIMS. He is currently a dermatologist at currently a senior professor at Department of Dermatology in R&T Medical College, Udaipur, and has various national and international papers under his name. Welcome, sir. Sir, I'd like you to invite the next speaker for the session, Dr. Shelly Kapoor, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, everyone. In fact, it was a wonderful treat to have and to see and listen to our great teacher and mentor, Professor Pasricha, under whom many of us have been trained, and in his usual oratorial skill came to the fore today, and he blessed us with a lot of pulse for the conference and on the subject of contact dermatitis. Now, the next speaker that I'm going to introduce to you is Dr. Shelly Kapoor, who is a very well-known dermatologist of North India and across the country, working with Medanta for the last 10 years. And she has experience of more than 22 years. She has been an active member of several associations, an executive member of the Indian chapter of Women's Dermatological Society, and also a founder member of the Society of Geriatric Dermatology and Aesthetics of India. She has won Excellence in Dermatology Award by All India Technical and Management Council 2014. So over to you, Dr. Shelly Kapoor, for your talk on female genital contact dermatitis.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for those kind words. So I'll be right away starting with my presentation. My screen, I'm not able to share it. It has been disabled by the host. Hello?
Ma'am, you can share your screen, please.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Not yet, ma'am.
Not yet. I'll do it once again.
Ma'am, first open your presentation, then
yeah,
click
it's
on
already open.
Yeah, then click on share screen button in Zoom. Yeah, now showing sharing.
Now it's visible now.
Yes, ma'am, showing is sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, now you can continue, ma'am.
So I'll be talking about female genital contact dermatitis today. Contact dermatitis of vulva, we know, is an inflammatory condition that can occur at any time during a woman's life, and it can happen in response to a primary exposure to an irritant or from an allergic response to an irritant. So often it's an underreported and underdiagnosed condition, reason being many cultural taboos which are there. Many patients, they try to self-treat, and a delay in proper diagnosis happens before the patient presents to the doctor. It's the most common cause of vaginal rash and is responsible for about 50% of the cases of vaginal itching in adult females. Children are also not exempt. They can also get it. Genital allergy, it should be considered a possible diagnosis in all patients where genital soreness or irritation is there is no specific cause can be identified, or when the condition is not improving in spite of treatment. Genital area, why it is so vulnerable compared to the other parts of the body to develop contact dermatitis? One, because of the various allergens and irritants which it is exposed to, because many people have peculiar hygienic and sexual practices. Irritants, they cause more intense reactions in this area because of the high transepidermal water loss and increased blood flow in this area. Often because vulva is a pigmented area of the skin, so low-grade erythema might not be sometimes visible and the condition may continue. So broadly, we can divide the contact dermatitis in this area again into allergic and irritant dermatitis. So allergic dermatitis, when happens, it's a type 4 hypersensitivity, and it will happen only in individuals previously sensitized to the irritant. Symptoms, they usually appear within 1 to 2 days, and this is not so common. About 1/5 of the cases of contact dermatitis present as allergic contact dermatitis. Symptoms will again be like dry, scaly, flaky skin with sometimes if the condition is too acute, there may be oozing blisters, redness, itching, swelling. Later on, the skin may appear darkened and leathery. Common allergens here may be topical medications like antibiotics, antifungals. Topical anesthetics are a big major cause. Irritant dermatitis in this area will result from direct injury to the skin, and the discomfort usually will begin immediately following exposure. And this is more common than the allergic type, and 25% of the total vulvar dermatitis presents as irritant dermatitis. The symptoms here may be more acute blistering, cracking, swelling, and more weepy skin. Sometimes crusting and open sores may also be seen. Here, the common allergens are detergents, soaps, perfumes, the personal care products, semen and propylene glycol are also commonly implicated. So basically, we can divide the genital contact allergy into two major groups. One is the sexually related hypersensitivity, and the other is the non-sexual related hypersensitivity. So we'll be discussing first about the sexually related hypersensitivity. So first, we'll be talking about seminal fluid hypersensitivity, although this is a rare disorder, but it does happen. And how do we define it? We define it as a spectrum of systemic and or localized symptoms after exposure to specific protein components in seminal plasma. Chronic vaginitis is usually the picture. And usually ladies who are more atopic, they develop it more often. Usually it appears as a type 1 reaction. Major antigen believed is prostate specific antigen. Most of the cases, both systemic and localized symptoms will occur. And the first time it will happen after the first sexual exposure. So local responses again would be swelling, burning, irritation. And usually soon after the sexual contact, 2 to 3 days, the thing becomes, it persists for about 2 to 3 days. And generalized reaction may also occur, which will include angioedema, laryngeal edema, and sometimes anaphylaxis. These type of women will have difficulty in conceiving due to inability to have the unprotected sexual contact. Second important thing is spermicide hypersensitivity. This condition, although commonly affects men, but can happen in women also. Sensitizing agents could be benzocaine, methoxyphenol, polyethoxy derivatives, hexyl resorcinol, chloramine, etc., or some associated fragrances. Commonly, fragrances are a common culprit. So then coming to condom allergy may happen due to latex, color, fragrance, flavor, or maybe concomitant use of other things like local anesthetics or pleasure enhancers. Latex allergy can present both ways, either a type 1 reaction or a type 4 reaction. And the symptoms again include urticaria, itching, cough, watery eyes, and low blood pressure and dizziness. An alternative could be use of synthetic condoms, which are made up of natural membranes like that made from a lamb intestine instead of latex material. So latex fruit syndrome, again, this is an interesting syndrome which happens because there is an association of latex protein, structurally similar protein, structurally similar to the latex, which is extracted from rubber plants. The commonly implicated fruits are avocado, banana, chestnut, kiwi, but others are also there. So this is the list of high latex, moderate latex, and low latex proteins. So coming back again to this, the prevailing hypothesis is that why does it happen? Because that allergen cross-reactivity is due to high IgE antibodies that recognize the similar structural protein on and different proteins that are epitopes on different proteins that are phylogenetically closely related. Patients who are allergic to fruits have 11% risk of latex reaction, while the other ways it is 35% risk of reaction to fruits with people who are allergic to latex. So coming to conobial or consort allergic dermatitis, in this case, when the agent causing dermatitis has not been used by the patient, but has been used by his partner or other cohabitants. So most commonly implicated things are fragrances, cosmetics, topical NSAIDs. These are the common culprits. So there is a peculiar case which has been reported of a 55-year-old man who developed who was allergic to propylene glycol and who developed severe local dermatitis of the genital area after sexual contact with his wife, who had used KY jelly. So oral medications and antigens may also cause genital allergy. Ingested antigens, they may also pass in the seminal fluid and rarely produce hypersensitivity reactions in the other partner. So again, a man who had eaten walnuts led his wife to develop, allergy, anaphylactic reaction to walnuts. And then topical medications or allergens can also cause sensitivity in consort contact dermatitis. There is a case report of a young woman who repeatedly developed eczematous eruptions on face, neck, and arms after contact with her boyfriend, who used to use 5% benzoyl peroxide for facial acne. Patch testing showed her sensitivity to benzoyl peroxide, and the eczema subsided when the topical antibiotic cream for acne was changed. So a similar case again was described, which was there was affection of the neck and chest caused by oak moss, which was present in the aftershave lotion used by the partner. Miscellaneous causes. Use of poppers has been associated with facial dermatitis. Poppers are inhalant substances which are used to give high during sexual contacts. So there are rare cases of persistent pruritus vulvae, which can happen as a result of newspaper printering sensitivity. Rubber sensitive women may also acquire vaginitis from the use of contraceptive rubber diaphragms. Coming to the non-sexually related hypersensitivity, urine incontinence can cause a lot of genital soreness, and that will predispose the perineal area to ammoniacal substances. So when the skin is damaged and the skin is damaged because of the contact with the irritants like urine, it could be stool, it could be both. Patients of diarrhea, they develop it a lot. When the skin is damaged, there is increased transepidermal water loss, and that leads to the cascade of inflammation and development of contact dermatitis. So colophony is again an interesting term. It's basically a resin which comes from the sap of coniferous trees, and this resin is also used in personal care and beauty products. Many topical medications, lubricants, adhesives, sealants. So a potential source of exposure is also from the baby diapers and feminine hygiene products. Candidal hypersensitivity again could be a reason for contact dermatitis. Vulvovaginal candidiasis, we know it's very common. About 75% of females at some point in their lifetime, they get affected. And genital hypersensitivity has been implicated in some cases of PVC, and anti-IgE antibodies have been detected in the vaginal secretions of these females. So this can sometimes be a cause. Then topical medications used by the female itself, it could be like topical antibiotics, topical steroids, topical antifungals, antivirals, they can be causing hypersensitivity reactions. Topical steroids, again, this is very important because usually we use steroids to subside the symptoms of dermatitis. But when there is a worsening of vulval symptom, which may be due to the preparation itself, then we have to think of this thing. Then propylene glycol, which has been used as a preservative in many preparations, is also considered to be a very common sensitizer. Then the role of personal care products like shower gels, soaps, cleanser, etc., they can also be cause for hypersensitivity reactions. Feminine hygiene sprays, they contain perfumes, emollients, and propellants. Anything out of these could be causing irritant reaction. And it will be more likely if the patient is already having existent skin damage, like secondary to candida. Then bubble baths and scented soaps, especially in children, these can cause an irritant vulvitis, particularly if the child or if the lady is having prolonged immersion in bathtubs. Cosmetics, again, a rare cause. There is a report causing contact dermatitis, hypersensitivity to nail polish, especially if the vulval skin is touched before the polish is dry. Again, sanitary self-adhesive pads are one of the important causes. Fragrance and disinfecting agent in that thing can be a reason. Sensitivity to different cinnamyl alcohol, cinnamic aldehyde, that is the perfumes or deodorants, have been reported. And the test is once we remove the pads, the symptoms subside very quickly. So douches basically, they are used to wash the vagina and not the vulva with water or a mixture of other liquids. They contain acid or alkali that are not properly diluted. They may produce irritant vulvitis. They could be acid irritants like alum, citric acid, lactic acid, or alkalis like sodium bicarbonate. If they are in concentrated form, they may also cause this. Then nickel-plated objects like pins, fasteners, zippers, clasps on sanitary napkins, they can produce vulvitis. Then different types of clothing, especially synthetic and dyes in underclothing, they can produce dermatitis. Close, tight-fitting undergarments, they can also be the cause. Then contact sensitivity can happen in pruritus vulvae. Genital pruritus, it may be associated with specific skin lesions of dermatosis like eczema, lichen sclerosis. Besides pruritus, other sensations may also be there. Patients with pruritus vulvae and lichen sclerosis are at high risk of contact sensitivity for obvious reasons. So there was a study of 121 women in vulvar problems where 49% had one or more positive allergic reactions with baseline lichen sclerosis. So around half of the patients had baseline skin problem. Diagnosis is made by history. A proper history is important. Past or present allergies or a personal or family history of atopy, previous history of contact with possible allergens should be taken. Relation between onset of symptoms and the intercourse can provide useful clues. In cases of SFH, the use of condoms to prevent symptoms, and that may be used as a diagnostic test. Diagnosis can be made by skin prick test, by RAS test, which has been talked about since morning. And patch testing, again, is a valuable investigative tool for patients with protracted vulval symptoms, especially if there is no response to treatment. And patch tests can also be used to done by the personal care products which the patient uses. Then different kits are available which can be used. And again, vulval or vaginal provocation can be used, or can also be used as a mean of assessing allergic vulvovaginitis. So the treatment, the basics of the treatment would be excluding contact with possible irritants, restoring skin barrier with sitz baths, compresses, hydrating the skin with bland emollients, short-term mild to moderate potency steroids can be used. If concomitant infection is there, candida or other bacterial infections, they should be treated accordingly. Cold gel packs are helpful. To help patient allay anxiety, doxepin or hydroxyzine can be used. If this has been happening again and again, then patch testing can be considered. So avoidance of potential sensitizer is the optimal approach to the management. Hypoallergenic condoms are to be used with caution in cases of latex hypersensitivity. And treatment of seminal fluid hypersensitivity includes the use of condom and subcutaneous desensitization to relevant fractions in seminal plasma protein. The intravaginal graded challenge, a form of immunotherapy, is the mainstay in treatment, but it is only effective if maintained correctly. And it involves an intravaginal graded challenge using dilutions of seminal fluid or subcutaneous desensitization to relevant fractions of seminal plasma protein obtained from its sexual partner. So concluding, suspect genital hypersensitivity if the patient has unexplained symptoms which are recurrent or not responding to treatment, a careful inquiry regarding sexual practices and use of protective pleasure enhancers, hygienic products, that should all be done. Identify the culprit by history, patch test, prick test, manage the condition by avoidance of sensitizer or desensitization can be considered. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Shelley, for very nice, informative, and interesting presentation. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Over to coordinator.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a wonderful session.